Hey, my name's James Nicholson. In this video, I want to talk about what is the 90-day rule. Now, this is a rule that's very important if you're considering renting out a property that either you own or that you want to sublet on Airbnb. It's a make or break for those, especially in the London area. So I'm going to cover what it is, the impact it has, and how you can potentially overcome that in the UK. So while you're here, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell notification. We've got new content every single day on growing a property business. And if I could ask you for one very quick favor, smash the like button, guys. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So give it a quick smash over there right now. So the 90-day rule. Well, serviced accommodation isn't really new, but it's become very, very popular. There's always been holiday lets in places like Cornwall and stuff like that. But a while ago, someone created a site called Airbnb. I'm sure you've either heard of it or you've maybe used it yourself. And Airbnb allowed people initially to rent out rooms in their property. And so people did that on a short-term basis. Maybe there was a concert coming into town and all the hotels were fully booked or super expensive. And so people would rent out their room, their sofa and such like. Now it's a bit more developed and people often rent a whole condo, apartment, house, all sorts of things, caravans and stuff like that on Airbnb and other such sites. Now, the problem with this is that in some areas, it's meant that rental stock has been greatly reduced. Because what's happened is people have, rather than renting a flat out for £2,000 a month, they're renting it out on Airbnb and getting £4,000 a month. And so they're making significantly higher profits from renting it on Airbnb. Now, some areas aren't happy with that, particularly London, where it's really hard to rent a property and very expensive anyway. So in the Greater London area, they came out with this 90-day rule. And so what that meant was that you could rent your property out, but only for 90 days per year. That suddenly made it very difficult for Airbnb providers, because if you only get 90 days rent, then you're going to struggle all the other days of the year when you've got that vacant property. So it's very important that you don't break the rule. And in fact, when you list on Airbnb, you can't break the rule because their software only allows you to get 90 days of bookings in a year anyway. So one little loophole you can do is list on other sites. And so you can list on booking.com. There's about 200 different sites nowadays, and you can do that with caution. That's one way that you can get some extra bookings. Now, how to be a bit more legitimate is you can go for short-term bookings. So medium-term bookings, sorry. And so medium-term bookings are fine. And so what you could look to do for the rest of the year is get people on a 3-month contract or a 6-month contract, rather than on a nightly basis, which is what you would do on Airbnb or booking.com or hotels.com or such like. So that's one way that people get around that, and that's totally legitimate to be able to do that. So what you might do is look to do in the off season. For example, the off season could be the summer in London. You could book it out as a 6-month rental to someone in that period of time. And London is very busy at Christmas time because everyone wants to go to see the lights and shows and shopping and such like. But you need to judge when you feel you would be more busy. So you get a short-term booking or a medium-term booking to fill up most of your year. And then the rest of the year, you look to fill it up inside this 90-day rule. Now, it's something that Airbnb are strict on. There isn't really a loophole to get around it on Airbnb. And you should be following the rules, right? That's very, very important as well. You don't want to run a serviced accommodation business where you're not in the legal parameters. So my workaround is get it booked out for 90 days and then look at medium-term rentals. Look at other booking sites as well to get some bookings off those. But Airbnb, they're going to limit you to 90 days. Now, if I was looking to be an investor, I would look at other areas where they don't have this 90-day rule. So London, central London, greater London, the 90-day rule applies, but it doesn't apply in other towns and cities. And so there's nothing stopping you investing in Birmingham, in Hull, in Manchester, in Brighton, in Cornwall, and these other areas. Now, it might come in those areas at some point, but right now, this has been in London for many years, I think 4 or 5 years at least. No one else has done it yet. And so that means that I would look at those other areas. It's hard to pick a town like London and do this successfully. When you've got options to go elsewhere, I would look at that first and foremost. One other thing that you can do is also get bookings offline. So don't just always think that you'll fill your serviced accommodation with online bookings from the booking site. Speak to companies that might want short-term lets. Speak to estate agents that might have somebody that currently they're moving house, right? So to keep the chain, they need to move out, sell their house, and then they've got to wait a month or 2 months or 3 months to get into their new property. That could be a great way for you to get some short-term bookings that are offline that could really keep the cash flow coming in. So that's the 90-day rule. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments. We've got a whole playlist on serviced accommodation, so do check that out and see all the hints and tips. I've also got an ebook that I want to give you a free copy of, so I'm going to link that ebook below. So click on the link, grab your ultimate guide to serviced accommodation and find out how this can be a great strategy for you.